So, welcome to the Treasury Elite Leadership Series. I would like to thank all our viewers and members for supporting this noble cause of Treasury Elite, whose main objective is networking, knowledge sharing, and mentoring. Time and again, we bring in world class speakers and business leaders across the world in the field of financial markets and entrepreneurship and conduct various programs, webinars, and conferences in different formats. Treasury Elite Leadership Series is one such format where we learn from industry thought leaders about their experiences of running their business, opportunities and challenges they encounter, and broad global trends they see for the future. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Abhishek Goenka, founder and CEO IFA Global and Treasury Elite. We bring in one-stop treasury and FX solutions for companies across India for the last 16 years. And today we have Mr. Vikram Gupta. Vikram is a veteran in the VC space and is a founder and managing partner at Ivy Cap Ventures. Ivy Cap is India's first innovation and technology VC fund that leverages the alumni ecosystem for investing, value creation, and divesting. Some of their portfolio companies include Purple, Clovia, Bluestone, FT Cash, Lendbox, Online Sales, eShakti, etc. And of course, what people do not know about Vikram is that he's a great singer. And one should definitely check out his family's song on YouTube, Soul Sisters, with his daughter Ayushi and Tyra. It's simply mind blowing. Welcome, Vikram. How are you doing today?
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure and thanks for such a generous introduction, Abhishek. It's a pleasure to be here.
Glad to have you today as a part of the Treasury Elite Leadership Series. In the next few minutes, we would love to learn from your experiences and latest trends in the private equity and the VC space. So, Vikram, I think one common thread which I could link with a lot of global CEOs whom I talk would be they are just not doing this for the money. What keeps you excited every morning and get to work? Or if I may ask, what is your why?
Yeah, I think that's an important question. I don't think uh, entrepreneurs generally who actually are out there trying to solve a problem passionately, I don't think majority of them do it for money. Money is a byproduct. I mean, of course, that's the reward, which obviously nobody wants to say no to. But people like myself, and I can say that for lots of entrepreneurs out there, they do it for a cause. They do it for a reason that they believe, there is a problem which otherwise is not being solved by somebody else. Same thing, I love helping entrepreneurs. I love, finding ways to make people successful around me. What gives me personally satisfaction, and that's mantra of my life, is how I can contribute towards making people successful. People around me. How do I make them successful? So that actually philosophy applies in the venture capital setting as well, and works very well. So, and I think I discovered my passion, of my professional passion, over time. It's not that I've been wanting to be a VC for a long time, and now, of course, I've been running Ivy Cap since 2011. But I discovered this passion of helping entrepreneurs since 2008, 2007, 8, I would say. But prior to that, my passion was to be an entrepreneur myself, and I wanted to be or run my own business, and somehow make a difference, solving a problem. So that passion was always there. But when I started Piramal's fund, which was a healthcare fund, at that time I realized that, wow, you can also do this, where you can actually help other entrepreneurs to succeed and contribute to their success. So that's something which actually really motivates me.
Excellent. Excellent. Vikram, you have had your shares of ups and downs. We would love to know some of your important milestones and learnings in your entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah, in fact, there have been some multiple things that happened in my life. So one major event was, um, going to the US, or let me step back a little bit. I think the first major event in my life was getting into IIT. 1989, I cleared the JEE exam and joined IIT, and that was a major milestone in my life. And I think that fundamentally changed my way of looking at things. Right. So when you are amongst people who are brilliant people, and you kind of realize that there's so much to learn in that kind of environment. So that actually changed a lot in me as a person. The second milestone happened in my life when I went to the US. That was a very big difference. Again, huge learning for me, doing my MBA there and working with a large conglomerate, worked with IBM, and consulting, and worked with various large corporates in the US, traveled across, which was an amazing experience. Then the third milestone was the entire decision of moving back with everything, you know, back to India. That was a tough call at the time when things were going very well in the US. I was doing very well at IBM, but figured out that my passion was entrepreneurship, and I didn't think I would have achieved that, at least in the time frame in the US, because I was on a visa. You can't do a business on visa and things like those. Uh, then, of course, the next milestone for me was working with the Piramal Group, where I set up a fund from scratch. That was my first exposure to private equity venture capital world, where I raised $100 million in a tough market, 2008 timeframe, 2008 when the markets were melting. And then, of course, the biggest milestone was starting Ivy Cap. So these are some of the important milestones in my life, which I think have shaped me as a person over time.
Right, right. So, Vikram, Indian startups raised approximately $7.8 billion in the first 4 months of 2021. I was just going through Economic Times today, with an average funding size which has increased to around 25 odd million, which was earlier around 14.9 million. So, Vikram, it's pretty exciting for the VC and the private equity space in the next 5 years. Are we moving from a venture capital to a growth stage private equity? What's your thought on this?
The data always gets skewed by a few large deals, so I think there is always a long tail, which is the kind of where you see the majority of the investments happening. And I think one probably needs to dissect between the two and then really analyze separately. But at the average of averages level, you're right. This is a good way to look at it. It's a broader picture level. But I think, broadly speaking, I would say the funnel works like this. You have this angel stage investing, which is the largest number of deals that get invested in. There, the ticket size is very small, right? I mean, starting from a few lakhs, going up to 4 or 5 crores of investment. And that obviously those deals are so small deals that they sometimes they don't even get captured into the data. But I would say the majority of the volumes of the transactions happened at that stage. Then, of course, from angel to Series A, there's a substantial fallout that happens. The funnel becomes very narrow, and I see an opportunity at Series A because there are not too many funds out there, except for historically you've seen Sequoias of the world or Access of the world who've been investing in that Series A stages, and that's where I see a huge bottleneck even today, where a lot of funding is still available, but the amounts of the number of startups who deserve that capital, just because there's not enough capital available, they're just not able to raise that money. So I would say that there's still an opportunity to become an entrepreneur to set up a VC fund, because there is a gap in that area. If you are good at fundraising, you could actually go into setting up a fund. It's not easy though to set up a fund because you have to raise substantial capital. But I think I would say that, while this data is correct, it's also good to know that just in this year itself, we already have 12 unicorns, 12 new unicorns this year already. And that also talks about, the value getting created in the startup ecosystem. And part of the reason is also, I mean, sometimes people say that, there has been an impact because of COVID, but COVID has also contributed positively in that sense for faster track growth from offline to online. And any startups which are actually anyways focusing on the online space, digitization, etc., they were accelerated, their growth accelerated. So that's a positive news for the startup ecosystem for India from the overall growth story perspective later.
Sure, sure. Uh, what kind of patterns or apprehensions are you seeing from the global and domestic investors? You raise a lot of money locally also, uh, especially in the Indian VC space. And what can we do about it? Uh, and if someone has to start afresh to build a fund or something like you were just mentioning, where do you see an opportunity?
So as I was saying, Series A is a stage where there's a gap there. One needs to build some kind of a differentiation there. So therefore, it's important that you are able to find a niche for yourself, and one can approach it based on where their strength lies. People have approached it based on certain sectors. They're very good in certain sectors, so you'll see a sector-focused fund. A few other people may focus only on certain geographies. And then some of them will say we'll do cross-border. So there are multiple opportunities, and I think as long as you can define your specific focus areas, you will be able to build a niche for yourself, which is, I think, important. That as long as your strategy is clear, what kinds of startups you're going to go after, because otherwise it's an ocean of startups out there, right? So the number of startups we're talking about now, somebody gave me a number of over 50,000 startups in the country, and the amount of startups which actually got funded is a very small percentage of that. So there's still a next level of startups which are looking to get funded, which are not funded yet, will get funded, let's say over the next 12 months, 24 months. But still, it's a very large number out there. How do you decide what startups to go after is very critical. And VC is not just about putting money and then hoping that things will happen on their own. There are funds like that, which will say, okay, I have a 100 crore size fund. Let me put money into 100 companies, one crore each, and then let me just go to the temple and pray, something will work out. So, that's also a strategy. And of course, we put money in 100 startups, obviously, three, four will do well, right? I mean, there will be something which will turn out to be a unicorn, and then all of a sudden, things start looking different. So that's another strategy. But I would encourage that the right strategy for a VC fund is to actually know what you're doing and do what you know. And then that way you will be able to add value beyond capital. It's not just only about capital, it's about adding value beyond that, because you're managing third party money. It's not your own money. You can't play a game of roulette with somebody else's money. So you have to be very clear why you're doing what you're doing.
In fact, I saw that on your website that you have a proper flow and a proper pattern of investing where you follow SDG also, and then you have a very strong alumni network with whom you get the flows and the deals, a very strong mentorship board through which you are connected and making sure that you coach every single company throughout their entire journey, so that uh, with proper monetary allocation, you also make sure that proper coaching and mentoring is provided to these companies to scale up. And that's exactly the point that you were mentioning right now. So, would
Correct.
love to know a little bit about your approach or your investing style, or what are the traits that you list down immediately when you are investing in any company. Could share some example out of your
Yeah,
investment.
so I think this business is, and any business for that matter, but specifically this business is all about people. you're investing in people, right? So many times people believe that they're investing in businesses, right? So when you say we're investing in a startup, it's perceived to be investing in a company, and that's how it is projected out. I think our philosophy is very simple. We are investing in people, and whenever we look at a startup or a company at a certain stage, the first thing that we do is understand the people behind that business. And majority of my personal time goes into evaluating those people. So 80% of my time when we're evaluating startups, my personal time will go into understanding the teams, understanding the reason why they are doing what they're doing, their maturity levels. Do they understand the environment? Do they understand the competition? Do they understand what can go bad, the risk factors involved? What is the risk they're taken themselves? Many times this question gets asked, how much of your own money you have put in. So since I've been an entrepreneur myself, I think it's not necessarily about how much actual cash you put in. It's about what's your opportunity cost. What are you giving up to do what you're doing, right? I mean, everybody has an opportunity cost, and many times people don't measure that, right? So, you know, when we look at startups or the entrepreneurs and the teams, we understand their opportunity costs. We understand, what have they given up to do what they're doing. And in the process, we try to also understand the problem that they're trying to solve and why they're solving that particular problem. And maturity level comes from the understanding of that problem and analyzing that problem. Did they do their proper research to understand whether this is actually a problem? Many times you think it's a problem, but it's not. So then, I mean, questions about your pricing models, your unit economics, and the scale and the industry's kind of size. So how big you can be, and are you capital efficient? How much capital would you need to reach a unicorn level? So I mean, if you're going to raise $2 billion to become a $1 billion company, it doesn't matter, right? I mean, anybody can become a $1 billion company by raising $2 billion. But people don't ask those questions many times. I mean, they only talk about, oh, this will become a unicorn. I mean, fundamentally, you should ask the question. I mean, evaluate, there's 50 unicorns and, map them on a scale of who's raised how much funding to reach that level. So you will realize the majority of these unicorns would have reached there by raising substantial amount of capital, right? So the question really then lies is that what is that output divided by input, which is actually the key to value creation, which becomes the most fundamental aspect of everything. So we look at those things in terms of the mindset of the founders, whether they appreciate the fact that it's not about reaching that number at whatever cost. It is about creating value without really, burning a lot of resources. So that's what we look for.
So much, Vikram, for all your thoughts. It's been lovely talking to you and your thoughts on how this entire sector is evolving. What are the traits that you look at in an entrepreneur? And entrepreneur comes first, then the company. And how things are getting exciting in the next few years, especially the opportunities in the Series A uh, area was really, thoughts were really commendable. And I'm sure everybody who's listening to us today would, gain a lot from this conversation between you and us.